from the east side of America, where we choose pride over character, and we can pick sides, but this is us, this is us, this is...
8 months ago, my friends and I took a trip across the US to visit 50 different fish stores in 5 days. We met our goal, and shortly after, I made a short film to share that experience, which changed the way I look at the aquarium hobby. The point of that trip was to show our support for the local brick and mortar fish stores, most of which have been struggling since the internet boom of online retailers. While we were making the film, some of the stores we showcased didn't understand the concept and didn't think our goofy gimmicks would be of much help.
These are domino damsels, hyper-aggressive fish and extremely territorial.
But after its release, the response had changed. Countless stores from around the country reached out to thank us for showing our support, even ones that weren't featured in the video. Thousands of people's perspectives shifted as they remembered how much influence their local fish store had to their entry and enjoyment of the hobby. The film also ended up being the key reason that Nas Daily decided to bring me onto his team, which allowed me to share the reef aquarium hobby to millions. But eventually, that all died down. And 8 months later, I knew I didn't want our message to die, but I didn't know what to do next. So when Fritz Aquatics called me and asked to go on another road trip down the east coast of America, I challenged them to make it even more epic. Okay, let's do the east coast, but why don't we start in Canada, then go down the east coast of the States, and then once we reach Florida, what if we just take a plane all the way down to Cuba? Think about it, 50 fish stores in 5 days, Canada to Cuba.
Does have a nice ring to it.
Okay. Wait, so for real though, like we can actually do that?
Full send, baby.
Full send.
But we are not taking a truck.
Deal. And so it was set. I found a friend to look after my clownfish and arranged for my seahorses to be taken care of at my local fish store. It was tough to say goodbye, but I was ready to set out on the craziest trip of my life. Over the next couple weeks, I'll be releasing the videos of my Canada to Cuba tour with plans for Europe after that. And the best part is that it all starts now. But first, roll the intro.
We're here at our first store in Canada called Big Al's.
It's located in Ottawa, and you guys are probably wondering what it felt like to take my first breath inside a Canadian fish store. It still smelled like fish. But it's lit though, because they had a ton of flame angels. Big Al's is a really big store, and they seem to have a lot of different creatures that could do some serious damage.
Like, this will mess you up on any day of the week. That's a killing machine for $60? Alright, let's go get Sean. Do you trust me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cover your eyes.
Where are we going?
Come on. Give me your hand.
I'll walk you. I won't let you hit anything. I promise.
I don't want to touch anything creepy.
You don't want to touch anything creepy? You're just gonna stick your hand in the water.
Yeah, we're just gonna put your hand in the tank. Yeah.
Alright, we can't actually do this to him.
Got some lionfish here too. Literally, Canada is trying to kill me. This is an arrow crab. These look just like Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith, aka the Karate Kid.
That one's hard to believe, but it's actually true.
One thing people wanted me to improve on from the last time was to show you more of the store. So this time, I don't always have the time to cover the entire store, but I will do my best to at least show you something really cool about them. Could be the animals, could be something that they do, but I always want to highlight what makes certain stores interesting. After Big Al's, we went to an awesome store called Reefsolution in Laval, Canada, which Stefan and his wife opened 15 years ago. Their large display tank in the middle of the store is impressive, and their coral selection was about as good as it gets.
That anemone, it's beautiful.
But I'd say the two things that make their store really stand out to me are, number one, their very friendly parrot, and number two, more seriously, their vast selection of dry goods. It might just be because there is a different demand for certain products in a different country, but Stefan carried all sorts of really high-end brands that you don't always see in American fish stores. I asked him what his biggest challenge was with his store, and he said,
It's keeping up with everything that is changing all the time, so, but we're getting good. We're surviving.
It's an interesting choice of words, but something any fish store owner nowadays should really be proud to say. I think Stefan has been successful because he has outstocked the online retailers of Canada and can offer true expert advice to his customers. Next, we traveled to Montreal to visit a professional aquascaper shop called Aqua Plus. This place had top-notch planted tanks and beautiful discus. It was a small store, you could almost miss it if you really didn't know where it was. So like all the stores that I'm showing in this series, I'll leave a link below to the exact address so you don't miss out on some of these hole-in-the-wall places. It was now time to leave Canada and continue back into the United States. So far, everything had gone smoothly, but it quickly changed when we reached Canada's border control. We all had our passports, but our van contained a variety of interesting things, the most suspicious being boxes of red salt.
Because why wouldn't a truck full of salt be suspicious?
They made us go inside and wait. We were interrogated, and then we waited some more. For hours and hours, but finally, they confirmed our story and led us on our way. We crossed into Vermont with relief and made our way to the next store, Green Mountain Coral in Shelburne, Vermont. Funny story about this store. I met the owner at an aquarium convention and remember being super surprised that there even were any aquarium stores in Vermont. Well, this is one of the few and certainly the best in terms of high-end coral. It's a small space filled with a really good selection, and this is the owner, Matt. He's doing a great thing for the hobby by having this store in a less than ideal spot. It gives people from all over the state an opportunity to buy nice corals in person, and also a place to go for help. We threw some snowballs and then got back on track, hitting another store in Vermont called AquaRealm, and then shot all the way over to Gorham, Maine for a really nice store called Easy Aquariums. This store was layered in tanks with saltwater, freshwater, and even some Jurassic looking beasts. My favorite part was that they let me sit on a ledge overlooking their coral displays. One of the coolest and scariest experiences of the trip. I was also happy to hear that they were allowing the community to come in and learn about all the animals.
Huge on community building here, trying to educate the public, help the youth get into the aquarium hobby and the industry. We have a classroom upstairs that we do birthday parties, guest speakers, guest lecturers, workshops, just trying to give back and have a nice space for everyone to gather and learn more about the hobby.
We spent the rest of the day driving across to Syracuse, New York, and got to hear what ABC Reefs had to say about educating customers properly.
My name is Robert Beal. Everyone calls me Bob, and this is ABC Reefs. I didn't get a saltwater fish tank till I was about 13 or 14. I had lists of fish. I knew a lot about this hobby. It really took my time when I got into it. I kept 2 fish for a few years. I graduated to some corals, kept those for a few years. And recently, I'm seeing people get into the hobby a little too fast. And that's my hardest job, is teaching people how to take their time and actually educate themselves properly on what they're capable of caring for. We
got off to an explosive start the next day when Sean and I almost missed our ride. Our first stop was to School of Fish in Springfield, Massachusetts, which has been around forever, passed down from father to son.
Basically, my family's been in this building for about 54 years. I literally grew up in the hobby. I love it. I've been in all aspects of it. And my favorite thing is sharing it with new people into the hobby and getting them excited about it and seeing them coming in for their second, their third tank because they are so addicted and excited to talk about it every time they come in.
Next, we headed into AquaDreams in Feeding Hills, Massachusetts. This place has some seriously nice corals and very rare anemones. They also had this pair of longfins who somehow got separated, which makes me feel like I was watching a heartbreaking love story. It was sad, but I had to move on to make sure we had time for Wet Pets in Vernon, Connecticut.
What's up? We're at a store called Wet Pets, but apparently it burned down, so now we'll just have to go to that Wet Pets. Love the resilience. They just moved like 5 stores over. Get out of my shot. Get out of my shot.
Sean was really excited because the owner Donnie is one of his really good friends in this hobby. This place was clownfish heaven. They had tanks full of anemones with every clownfish you could imagine. My personal favorite is the naked clownfish, but the hot new breed on the market right now are the Stormtroopers. Unfortunately, the original Wet Pets accidentally burned down, but I'm glad that they got back up on their feet and started over. It was definitely a pleasure to check out their new store and meet their staff. Our next stop was just to the east in Rhode Island, called OSA, short for Ocean State Aquatics. We were all stoked to see it, especially because Scott, yes, our Scott, is the owner. Scott started OSA 6 years ago and runs a weekly live stream show on Facebook called Keep On Reefing.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, it is Keep On Reefing Thursday!
Scott's energy and enthusiasm is contagious, and that's the reason we decided to bring him on this trip.
50 stores in 5 days. Everybody's feeling pumped. We can feel the energy is in the vehicle.
He worked solo for the first 3 years as just a guy with a bucket servicing people's tanks. His hard work made the business expand to an official storefront, which created more jobs and is now a store I would consider one of the best in the country. He's just got so much coral. If you're ever in the Rhode Island area, you should definitely visit OSA. It's a hidden gem. And I'll also link his Facebook show, Keep On Reefing, in the description below. We continued into the night and drove back into Colchester, Connecticut to see a store of extraordinary charm called Colchester Pet Shop. The owner, Jen, is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet and has one main rule for all the livestock she sells in her store. It must be aquacultured. Aquacultured simply means that the fish or coral has been bred in captivity to prevent those animals from being taken from the ocean. I really love her mission of creating a self-sustainable hobby, and even though on the surface her shop seems like it's more old school, this store represents what hopefully every aquarium store will look like someday. Some of her captive bred species included seahorses, which reminded me of mine back home, clownfish, these really cute baby mandarin dragonettes, and Tango, which was one of the first ever captive bred blue tanks, which just turned 2 years old. I'm really appreciative of what Jen's done for the hobby, and I hope our industry can follow in her direction. For the final destination of this episode, we drove to Credabel Coral Gallery, located in New London, Connecticut. Just take a look inside. This is Justin Credabel, who some would consider a mad scientist. I would call him a passionate artist. He loves corals like the rest of us, but created this space not only as a storefront, but also as an art gallery. I love this concept because I think coral is living art, and allowing people to hold events in here will expose new people to the hobby.